Hey guys, welcome to JasonWhiskyWise, and myself, Jason, bringing you whiskey review number 64, where today we're going to review the Paul John Bold. Now this is a whiskey that's been picking up multiple awards. I believe it's been picking up the International Wine Spirit Show competition gold a couple times. It's picked up quite a few different gold awards across the board, and as we're reviewing the Paul John range, I decided may as well get to it. Now it is part of the range which does include the Brilliance, the Edited, this being the Bold, a Classic, and the Peated version, which I'll have featured in the upcoming reviews. Now if you have missed the other videos, I'll leave links to them here and here at the end of the video. So, if you haven't already followed me on my social medias, I'll leave links to that over here. It will be my Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and you can stay up to date with me on all of my social medias. Without further ado, let's begin with the review into the Paul John Bold. So, this whiskey has an age of a non-age stated whiskey. It's actually an NAS, as Paul John don't have age statements on these core range, as the climate in India is very hot. So I believe in terms of maturation, it's 3 to 5 times faster than Scotland. So NAS for that. But in terms of ABV, it's bottled at 46% ABV. The cask selection are mainly ex-bourbon casks. And I was told that this one has 100% Islay. So it's got a very peaty style to it. Now in terms of the distillery, it is the Paul John Distillery, which you can see over here. And the parent company for them is John Distillers. And they are located in the region of Goa, India. And that is South India for those of you who don't know where it is. And also, we'll be paying them a trip there fairly soon. So fingers crossed we can go around the distillery and maybe see some new releases along the way. Now in terms of exclusivity, it is not exclusive, and I think I've forgotten the price. So in terms of price, full bottle is priced at £40, euros, dollars approximately. So £40 for the full-size bottle. Now in terms of exclusivity, no, it is not exclusive. It is part of the core range, so you should be able to find it everywhere. In terms of caramel colour, there is no colour added to any of the Paul Johns. They like to keep it all natural colour, and I believe it's all non-chill filtered as well. So, if you all guys also don't follow the regional manager for Paul John, I'll leave a link to him over here. His name is Shilton, and a fantastic chap. If you guys get to meet him, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. He's always got a smile, and that way you guys know exactly with the picture over here how he does look. So, in terms of the colour, we'll assess the colour as we start our review. And you can see over here it has a nice darker tint to it in terms of the amber notes. I'm going to go with a little bit of a sunburst amber, as it's got a slight glow to it. So, sunburst amber is going to be the colour. Let's begin by assessing the nose. So, into the nose. So, to begin my initial thoughts on the nose of this whiskey, the notes I pick out straight away remind me of that classic Islay style. Salted mackerel fillets, a little bit of that iodine touch to it as well, but not very heavy. Slight toasted barley note, and I'm also picking out a sort of charcoal note on there. More towards like a charcoal briquettes before you put them on the barbecue and before they start burning. A little wisp that they give off in terms of the air. I'm also getting a slight black tea again, which I got also on the Edited. And a slight floral peach, which develops underneath. Now I have let this one set for a little period of time so it could breathe. And the floral peach I'm getting is reminding me of fennel, but burnt fennel, as you're just leaving it to burn and dry out. Very interesting. Also a little sweeter notes of Mayuka honey, a little bit of a grassy character as well of hay. And then sandalwood, which comes to the nose as well. And then it develops into the sort of sweeter notes that just fall behind it. And these are more fruitier notes with a little bit of a sweet tobacco leaf. And then spiced apple, a little bit of spiced oak, and a slight tangerine peel over there on the nose. So it's got a little bit also of that sort of fudgy character on the nose, but it's more like an Islay fudge. If any of you guys have tried peated fudge, by all means you'll see that exact distinctive peat, but then it's got this nice chewy sweetness to it. Really nice on the nose there. So next we'll move into the palate and see what we can find on the palate. So to begin on the palate for this whiskey, it does start out with a much more lighter presence on the palate. Much more lighter than the Brilliance and the Edited, as it's got a sort of medium texture to it. It's not very mouth-filling, but it's oily in the fact that it just goes all over the palate, coats everything, goes into your taste buds, sits on your jawline, and now you're getting that punchy peat just giving itself through. with a slight malty note as well following right behind that. And it also reminds me of licorice root. A little bit of a bittersweet note coming right through. A little bit of those stewed spiced apples, giving that nice sweeter fruity note. And now the spices seem to kick in. A little bit of black pepper, clove powder, and a little bit of cinnamon, but just a dash on the palate. And I'm also picking out notes of smoked cheese, and this is something one of my friends from Poland brought me. It's one of the things they have over there. It's a smoked cheese, as you get some nice creamy texture. Very interesting as it works its way around. It also reminds me of a wetland campfire. Really, really nice on the palate, this one. And then it goes back to being sweet again, of notes of Mayuka honey. And then a slight bitter note develops right on the end of a coffee note, of a dry Americano. But then the palate is still quite juicy with all those flavours. Really interesting on the palate for this whiskey. So next, move into the finish and see what we can discover on the finish of this whiskey. So, into the finish. Moving into the finish for this whiskey, it does have a very nice long, and it keeps rolling off again into the palate as the flavours keep going on and developing further. But again, a nice long finish to this whiskey. It does have a sort of sweeter note of candied ginger. And then you get the warmth, a little bit of combination of spices, sweetness, and a little bit of peat, all playing themselves part on the finish of this whiskey. You also get a slight sort of soft, peppery note. And then I'm getting literally chunks of licorice, as I've literally bitten into different pieces of licorice with a sweet, sort of bitter character. And then that peaty note comes in, and it's more towards a vegetal peat. Very, not powerful, but much more softer, chewy. Very interesting on this whiskey. So, I'm going to give my overall rating for this whiskey, and this is one I really enjoyed because I'm becoming a massive peat fan. I'm going to go with this. I'm going to give it a 92 out of 100. Stick that on there so it doesn't fly anywhere. And the reason behind that one is this whiskey is very superbly constructed with this sort of classic peaty notes, the Islay sort of classic notes, the fruity aspects which you can really tell on this whiskey. And at the same time, the spice is not overpowering as I felt it was on the edited. This one is very well balanced, more peat driven, and a little bit more of those fruity notes the longer you leave it to breathe out. It's a really, really nice style. In terms of value for money, £40, compare it to all the other Islay whiskies, or just put it into a different category altogether, you're getting superb quality whiskey. It's an award-winning whiskey as well, and it's one of those ones I'd say you can go back to again and again and just keep revisiting it, and I'm kind of guilty of that. As you can see, I've gone through half a bottle, and yeah, I've got to sort of pace out on this one, but I'll go pick up another one if I need to. So, really nice whiskey, all in all, nice complexity, nice flavours. Does it need water? Personally, I would avoid adding any water to it. That's why I got my water here. But I will not add any water to this whiskey. I just leave it and just enjoy the nice, rich, smoky character it does have on it. And in terms of time, the longer you leave it, the more those fruity notes will develop. And the smoke doesn't fade. It does remain consistent throughout the lengthier period you leave it as well. So just leaving it to add more time to it is fantastic. And if you want to pour it straight from your glass into, you know, your Glencairn glass or your Capita, by all means, you get to enjoy it both ways. So on that note, I'm going to leave the video at that. This is a 92 out of 100 for the Paul John Bold. And the next video should be the Paul John Classic. So if you haven't missed any of my recent videos, be sure to check them out here. The Brilliance, the edited, and also the upcoming video. And be sure to also hit my subscribe button over there if you are new to my channel. Now be sure to drop it a like as well, as we are closing, hopefully, the 300 subscribers. And I'll be doing a giveaway when we get to 300 subscribers, so be stay tuned for that. But on that note, this has been JasonWhiskyWise, and I'll catch you all for the next video.